Hi, I'm Carrie Blazer. On this channel, I explore psychology, trauma healing, and the divine feminine. Please check out my free ebook below if you'd like to go deeper. Now let's get to the clip.
Was pregnant with the first grandchild in my family, but I only have one sibling. But more importantly, in my ex-husband's family, and they were of a different idea about marriage and family. My mother-in-law in particular believed in scholarship and I'm going to say high society. My father-in-law came from a simpler family, but he was a Rhodes Scholar. He was also a prisoner of war during World War II. And um, he became a very bad alcoholic, which lost him his professorship and killed him all in 1 year at the age of 61. At any rate, he was the only member of the family that was happy that his youngest son was having a child. In fact, we were the first to get married, and then a bunch of people followed suit, even
Yeah.
though we were the youngest. And as the family tells it, he waited because we got a call the morning that I had been in labor and we were and my sister-in-law asked my husband what we were doing up so early and he said, "Well, we're going to have a baby today." And she said, "Well, we're going to the hospital because they've called us to Dad's bedside." It's not the type of family that sits by a bedside,
Yeah.
not even his wife. So there were phone calls back and forth, and my son belabored his birth. Little pun there. It came out like this, it would like took forever.
He made it interesting, up for a
Yeah.
challenge. Yeah.
So there were a couple of phone calls back and forth, but after my ex-husband called and said that we had had a boy, and I didn't want to know, even though we had ultrasounds back then.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
42
Yeah.
now. I asked
Yeah.
him, "Don't tell me the sex of my child.
Yeah.
God
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
tell me when he comes into this earth."
Yeah.
Or she.
Yeah.
We got a phone call like 10 minutes later saying that my father-in-law had died. So it is my belief, unless it was a family legend and orchestrated, that he waited for his grandson to enter this world before he left.
For it because he wanted his son. I mean, you can read that a lot of ways, but all of our souls are constantly communicating. This is why these synchronicities happen to show us that it was so important to know that his son had had his child, a son. And so then, like, I want to cry, right? That, okay, my son has a son. Okay, it's time to go. Like, my mom passed away on my 45th birthday,
Yes.
right? And showing me how important I am. And that's the day that I was called to heal from my trauma and accept my psychic gifts. And, here I am almost 11 years later helping people and my book. And, oh, I'm the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene. Like, what? But this is how our parents show up for us. I saw this one. I love watching the Coast Guard on like Danger TV, and there was a story about this father and son had wanted to take a fishing trip for 30 years to Alaska. They finally figured it out. The son's in his 40s, dad's in late 60s, and they go there and the dad caught a fish and then he had a heart attack. And what his son did, 'cause his son was a doctor, is that there was no defibrillator on board, right? So his son created a nonprofit to get defibrillators on board of small, like fishing businesses, right? So if that
Yes.
happens to something else. So that's the soul's part of the soul's purpose, is that they waited for this trip, and then the dad got so excited. And well, it's like beautiful and tragic, but there's the wholeness, that it's both beautiful and tragic, and it's love all at the same time. It's all everything at the same time, and that's life. That's the wholeness. It's not perfect, but it is perfect, right? If this resonated with you, please consider subscribing for more conversations about psychology, healing, and the divine feminine, and pick up a free copy of my ebook below. Take care.